But now, remember, at this point of view is now Jack. So when we left off, Summer had given him the hint about the bleeding scream, which was the costume that August ended up wearing for Halloween. Now he's sniffing the camera. Thank you, Maddie. No, hun. You need to get down in that bucket. Thank you. Alrighty. So in August, my parents got this call from Mr. Tishman, the middle school director. And then my mom said, maybe he calls all the new students to welcome them. And my dad said, that's a lot of kids he'd be calling. So my mom called him back, and I could hear her talking to him on the phone. This is exactly what she said. Oh, hi, Mr. Tishman. This is Amanda Will, returning your call. Oh, thank you. That's so nice of you to say. He is looking forward to it. Yes? Yeah? Oh, sure. Oh, uh-huh. Well, that's so nice of you to say. Sure. Oh, wow. I see, of course. I'm sure he will. Let me write it down. Got it. I'll call you after I've had a chance to talk to him, okay? No, thank you for thinking of him. Goodbye now. And when she hung up, I was like, what's up? What did he say? And Mom said, well, it's actually very flattering, but kind of sad too. See, there's this new boy who started middle school this year, and he's never been in a real school environment before because he was homeschooled. So Mr. Tishman talked to some of the lower school teachers to find out who they thought were some of the really, really kind kids coming into 5th grade. And the teachers must have told him you were an especially nice kid, which I already knew, of course. And so Mr. Tishman is wondering if he could count on you to sort of shepherd this new boy around a bit. Like, let him hang out with me? I asked. Exactly, said Mom. He called it being a welcome buddy. But why me? I asked. I told you, she said. Your teachers told Mr. Tishman that you were the kind of kid who's known for being a good egg. I mean, I'm so proud that they think so highly of you. Why is it sad? I asked. What do you mean? Asked Mom. Well, on the phone you said it's flattering, but kind of sad too. Oh, Mom nodded. Well, apparently this boy has some sort of, I guess there's something wrong with his face, or something like that. I'm not sure. Maybe he was in an accident? Mr. Tishman said he'll explain a bit more when you come to school next week. School doesn't start until September, I said. Well, he wants you to meet the kid before school starts. Do I have to? Mom looked a little bit surprised. Well, of course not, she said, but it would be nice of you to do, Jack. If I don't have to do it, I said, I don't want to do it. Can you at least think about it? Asked Mom. I'm thinking about it, and I don't want to do it, I said. Well, I'm not going to force you, she said, but at least think about it some more, okay? I'm not calling your principal back till tomorrow, so just sit with it a bit. I mean, Jack, really? Don't think it's that much to ask you to spend a little extra time with some new kid. It's not just that he's a new kid, Mom, I answered. He's deformed. That's a terrible thing to say, Jack. He is, though, Mom. You don't even know who it is, she said. Yes, I do, I said, because I knew the second she started talking about him that it was a kid named August. I remember seeing him for the first time in front of the Carvel on Amesford Avenue when I was about 5 or 6 years old. Me and Veronica, my babysitter, were sitting on the bench outside the store with my little brother Jamie, who was sitting in a stroller facing us. I guess I was busy eating my ice cream cone because I didn't even notice the people who sat down next to us. And then at one point I turned my head to suck the ice cream out of the bottom of my cone, and that's when I saw him, August. He was sitting right next to me. I know it wasn't cool, but I kind of went, ugh, when I saw him because I honestly got scared. I thought he was wearing a zombie mask or something. It was the kind of you say when you're watching a scary movie and the bad guy jumps out of the bushes. Anyway, I know it wasn't nice of me, and though the kid didn't hear me, I know his sister did. Jack, we have to go, said Veronica. She had gotten up and was turning the stroller around because Jamie, who had obviously just noticed the kid too, was about to say something embarrassing. So I jumped up kind of suddenly, like a bee had landed on me, and followed Veronica as she zoomed away. I could hear the kid's mom saying softly behind us, okay, guys, I think it's time to go. And I turned around to look at them one more time. The kid was licking his ice cream cone, the mom was picking up his scooter, and the sister was glaring at me like she was going to hurt me. I looked away quickly. Veronica, what was wrong with that kid? I asked. Hush, she said, her voice angry. I love Veronica, but when she got mad, she got mad. Meanwhile, Jamie was practically spilling out of his stroller trying to get another look as Veronica pushed him away. But Veronica, said Jamie. You boys were very naughty, she said, as soon as we were farther down the block, staring like that. I didn't mean to, I said. Veronica, said Jamie. Us leaving like that, Veronica was muttering. That poor lady. I tell you, boys, every day we should thank the Lord for our blessings, you hear me? Veronica. What is it, Jamie? Is it Halloween? No, Jamie. Then why was that boy wearing a mask? Veronica didn't answer. Sometimes when she was mad about something, she would do that. He wasn't wearing a mask, I explained to Jamie. Hush, Jack, said Veronica. Why are you so mad, Veronica? I couldn't help asking. I thought this would make her even angrier, but actually, she just shook her head. It was bad how he did that, she said, just getting up like that, like we'd just seen the devil. I was scared that Jamie was going to say something bad. I didn't want him to say anything that would hurt that little boy's feelings. But it was very bad of us just leaving like that. That Mama knew what was going on. But we didn't mean it, I answered. Jack, Veronica said, sometimes you don't have to be mean to hurt someone. You understand? That was the first time I had ever seen August in the neighborhood, at least that I could remember. But I had seen him around ever since then, a couple times in the playground, a few times in the park. He used to wear an astronaut helmet sometimes, but I always knew it was him underneath the helmet. All the kids in the neighborhood knew it was him. Everyone has seen August at some point or another. We all know his name, though he doesn't know ours. And whenever I've seen him, I try to remember what Veronica said, but it's hard. It's hard not to sneak a second look. It's hard to act normal when you see him. Do you know who else Mr. Tishman called? I asked Mom later that night. Did he tell you? He mentioned Julian and Charlotte. Julian? Ugh, why Julian? You used to be friends with Julian, said Mom. Mom, that was like in kindergarten. Julian's the biggest phony there is, and he's trying so hard to be popular all the time. Well, said Mom, at least Julian agreed to help the kid. You gotta give him credit for that. I didn't say anything because she was right. What about Charlotte, I asked. Is she doing it too? Yes, said Mom. Of course she is, I said. Charlotte's such a goody two-shoes. Boy, Jack, said Mom, you seem to have a problem with everybody these days. It's just... Mom, you have no idea what this kid looks like. I can't imagine, said Mom. No, you can't. You've never seen him, and I have. It might not even be who you're thinking it is, said Mom. Trust me, I said, it is, and I'm telling you it's really, really bad. He's deformed, Mom. His eyes are like down here, I said as I pointed to my cheeks, and he doesn't really have any ears, and his mouth is like... Jamie had walked into the kitchen to get juice from the fridge. Ask Jamie, I said. Right, Jamie? Remember that kid we saw in the park after school last year? The kid named August? The one with the face? Oh, that kid? Said Jamie, his eyes opening wide. He gave me a nightmare. Remember, Mom, the nightmare about the zombies last year? I thought that was from watching a scary movie, answered Mom. No, said Jamie. It was from seeing that kid. When I saw him, I was like, ah, and I ran away. Wait a minute, said Mom, getting serious. Did you do that in front of him? I couldn't help it, said Jamie, kind of whining. Of course you could help it, Mom scolded. Guys, I have to tell you, I'm very disappointed by what I'm hearing here. And she looked how she sounded. I mean, honestly, he's just a boy like you are. Can you imagine how he felt to see you running away from him screaming? Well, it wasn't a scream, argued Jamie. It was like an ah! And he put his hands on his cheeks and started running around the kitchen. Come on, Jamie, said Mom angrily. I honestly thought both of my boys were more sympathetic than that. What sympathetic? Said Jamie, who was only going into second grade. You know exactly what I mean by sympathetic, Jamie, said Mom. It's just, he's ugly, Mom, said Jamie. Hey, Mom yelled. I don't like that word. Jamie, just get your juice. I want to talk to Jack alone for a second. Look, Jack, said Mom as soon as he left, and I knew she was about to give me a whole speech. Okay, I'll do it, I said, which completely shocked her. You will? Yes, I said. So I can call your principal back? Yes. Mom, yes, I said yes. Mom smiled. I knew you'd rise to the occasion, kid. Good for you. I'm proud of you. She messed with my hair. So here's why I changed my mind. It wasn't so I wouldn't have to hear Mom give me a whole lecture, and it wasn't to protect this kid from Julian, who I knew would be a jerk about the whole thing. It was because when I heard Jamie talking about how he had run away from August, I suddenly felt really bad. The thing is, there are always going to be kids like Julian, but if a little kid like Jamie, who's usually a nice enough kid, can be that mean, then a kid like August doesn't stand a chance in middle school. First of all, you do get used to his face. The first couple of times I was like, whoa, I'm never going to get used to this. And then after about a week, I was like, it's not so bad. Second of all, he's actually a really cool guy. I mean, he's pretty funny. Like the teacher will say something and August will whisper something funny to me that no one else hears and totally make me crack up. He's also just overall a nice kid. Like he's easy to hang out with and talk to and stuff. Third of all, he's really smart. I thought he'd be behind because he hadn't gone to school before. But in most things, he's way ahead of me. I mean, maybe not as smart as Charlotte or Zamina, but he's up there. And unlike Charlotte or Zamina, he lets me cheat off him, if I really need to. Though I've only needed to a couple of times. He also let me copy his homework once, though we both got in trouble for it after class. The two of you got the exact same answers wrong on yesterday's homework, Ms. Rubin had said, looking at both of us like she was waiting for an explanation. I didn't know what to say because the explanation would have been, oh, that's because I copied August's homework. But August lied to protect me. He was like, oh, that's because we did our homework together last night. Which was not true at all. Well, doing homework together is a good thing, said Miss Rubin, but you're supposed to do it separately, okay? You could work side by side if you want, but you can't actually do your homework together problem by problem, okay? After we left the classroom, I said, dude, thanks for doing that. He was like, no problem. So that was cool. Fourthly, now that I know him, I would say I actually do want to be friends with August. At first, I admit it, I was only friendly to him because Mr. Tishman asked me to be especially nice and all that. But now I would choose to hang out with him. He laughs at all my jokes, and I kind of feel like I can tell August anything. Like he's a good friend. If all the guys in 5th grade were lined up against a wall and I got to choose anyone I wanted to hang out with, I would choose August. Bleeding Scream? I thought, what? Summer Dawson has always been a bit out there, but this was a little much. All I did was ask her why August was acting mad at me. I figured she would know, and all she said was bleeding scream. I don't even know what that means. It's so weird because one day me and August were friends, and the next day, whoosh, he was hardly talking to me. And I haven't the slightest idea why. When I said to him, hey August, you mad at me or something? He shrugged and walked away. So I would take that as a definite yes. And since I know for a fact that I didn't do anything to him to be mad about, I figured Summer could tell me what's up. But all I got from her was bleeding scream. Yeah, big help, Summer. You know, I've got plenty of friends at school, so if August wants to officially be my ex-friend, then fine. That's okay by me, see if I care. I've started ignoring him like he's ignoring me now. This is actually kind of hard since we sit next to each other in practically every class. Other kids have noticed and started asking me if August and I had a fight. Nobody asks August what's going on. Hardly anyone ever talks to him anyway. I mean, the only person he hangs out with other than me is Summer. Sometimes he hangs out with Reed Kingsley a bit, and the two Maxes got him playing Dungeons and Dragons a couple times at recess. Charlotte, for all her goody two-shoeing, doesn't ever do more than nod hello when she's passing in the hallway. And I don't know if everyone's still playing that plague behind his back, because no one really ever told me about it directly, but my point is that it's not like he has a whole lot of other friends he could be hanging out with instead of me. If he wants to ignore me, he's the one who loses, not me. So this is how things are between us now. We only talk to each other about school stuff if we absolutely have to. Like I'll say, what did Ruben say the homework was? And he'll answer. Or he'll be like, can I use your pencil sharpener? And I'll get my sharpener out of my case for him. But as soon as the bell rings, we go our separate ways. Why this is good is because I get to hang out with a lot more kids now. Before, when I was hanging out with August all the time, kids weren't hanging out with me because they'd have to hang out with him. Or they would keep things from me, like the whole thing about the plague. I think I was the only one who wasn't in on it, except for Summer. And the truth is, though nobody's that obvious about it, nobody wants to hang out with him. Everyone's way too hung up on being in the popular group, and he's just as far from popular as you can get. But now I can hang out with anyone I want. If I wanted to be in the popular group, I could totally be in it. Why this is bad is because, well, A, I don't actually enjoy hanging out with the popular group that much, and B, I actually liked hanging out with August. So this is kind of messed up, and it's all August's fault. The first snow of winter hit before Thanksgiving break. School was closed, so we got an extra day of vacation. I was glad about that because I was so bummed about this whole August thing, and I just wanted some time to chill out without having to see him every day. Also, waking up to a snow day is just about my favorite thing in the world. I love that feeling when you first open your eyes in the morning and you don't even know why everything seems different than usual. Then it hits you. Everything's quiet, no cars honking, no buses going down the street. Then you run over to the window and outside everything is covered in white. The sidewalks, the trees, the cars on the street, your window panes. And then that happens on a school day and you find out your school is closed. Well, I don't care how old I get. I'm always going to think that that's the best feeling in the world. and I'm never going to be one of those grown-ups that use an umbrella when it's snowing, ever. Dad's school was closed too, so he took me and Jamie sledding at Skeleton Hill Park. They say a little kid hurt himself sledding down that hill a few years ago, but I don't know if it's actually true or just something someone made up. On the way home, I spotted this banged-up wooden sled kind of propped up against the old Indian rock monument. Dad said to leave it, that it was garbage, but something told me it would make the greatest sled ever. So Dad let me drag it home, and I spent the rest of the day fixing it up. I superglued the broken slats together and wrapped some heavy-duty white duct tape around them for extra strength. Then I spray painted the whole thing white with the paint I'd gotten for the alabaster sphinx I was making for the Egyptian Museum project. When it was all dry, I painted lightning in gold letters on the small piece of wood, and I made a lightning bolt symbol above the letters. It looked pretty professional, I have to say. Dad was like, "Wow, you were right about the sled." The next day we went back to the hill with the lightning sled. It was the fastest thing I'd ever ridden, so much faster than the plastic sleds we'd been using. And because it had gotten warmer outside, the snow had become crunchier and wetter. Good packing snow. Me and Jamie took turns on the lightning all afternoon. We were in the park until our fingers were frozen and our lips had turned a little blue. Dad practically had to drag us home. By the end of the weekend, the snow had started turning gray and yellow, and then a rainstorm turned most of the snow to slush. When we got back to school on Monday, there was no snow left. It was rainy and yucky, and the first day back from vacation. A slushy day. That's how I was feeling inside, too. I nodded hey to August for the first time. We were in front of the lockers, and he nodded hey back. I wanted to tell him about lightning, but I didn't. Mr. Brown's December precept was, "Fortune favors the bold." We were all supposed to write a paragraph about some time in our lives when we did something very brave, and how, because of it, something good happened. I thought about it a lot, to be truthful. I have to say that I think the bravest thing I ever did was become friends with August. But I couldn't write about that, of course. I was afraid we'd have to read these out loud, or Mr. Brown would put them up on the bulletin board like he does sometimes. So instead I wrote this lame thing about how I used to be afraid of the ocean when I was little. Wasn't that good, but I couldn't think of anything else. I wonder what August wrote about. He probably had a lot of things to choose from. My parents are not rich. I say this because people sometimes think that everyone who goes to private school is rich, but that isn't true with us. Dad's a teacher and Mom's a social worker, which means they don't have those kinds of jobs where people make gazillions of dollars. We used to have a car, but we sold it when Jamie started kindergarten at Beecher Prep. We didn't live in a big townhouse or in one of those dormant buildings along the park. We live on the top floor of a 5-story walk-up where we rent from an old lady named Donna Petra, all the way on the other side of Broadway. That's code for the section of North River Heights where people don't want to park their cars. Me and Jamie share a room. I overhear my parents talk about things like, can we do without an air conditioner one more year? Or maybe I can work 2 jobs this summer. So today at recess I was hanging out with Julian and Henry and Miles. Julian, who everyone knows is rich, was like, "I don't like that I have to go back to Paris this Christmas. It's so boring." "Dude, it's like Paris," I said. "Believe me, it's boring," he said. "My grandma lives in this house in the middle of nowhere. It's like an hour away from Paris in this tiny village. I swear, nothing happens there. I mean, it's like, oh wow, there's another fly on the wall. Look, there's a new dog sleeping on the sidewalk. Yippee!" I laughed. Sometimes Julian could be funny. "Though," he said, "my parents are talking about throwing a big party this year instead of going to Paris." I hope so. What are you doing? The battery cut out, so we will start that again. "I hope it snows again," I answered. "I got this new sled that's so amazing." I was about to tell them about the lightning, but Miles started talking first. "I got a new sled too," he said. "My dad got it from Hammaker Schlemmer. It's so state-of-the-art." "How could a sled be state-of-the-art?" asked Julian. "It was like $800 or something," said Miles. "Whoa," we all said. "We should all go sledding and have a race down Skeleton Hill," I said. "That hill's so lame," answered Julian. "Are you kidding?" I asked. Julian narrowed his eyes and looked at me like I was the biggest moron in the world. "It's called Skeleton Hill because it was an ancient Indian burial ground once," he said. "Anyway, it should be called Garbage Hill now. It's so junky. Last time I was there it was so gross, like with soda cans and broken bottles and stuff." He shook his head. "I left my old sled there," said Miles. "It was an old piece of junk, and someone took it too." "Maybe a hobo wanted to go sledding," laughed Julian. "Where'd you leave it?" I asked casually. "By the big rock at the bottom of the hill, and I went back the next day and it was gone. I couldn't believe somebody actually took it." "Here's what we can do," said Julian. Next time it snows, my dad could drive us all up to this golf course in Westchester that makes Skeleton Hill look like nothing. Hey, Jack, where are you going? I had started to walk away. I gotta get a book out of my locker, I lied. I just wanted to get away from them fast. I didn't want anyone to know that I was the hobo who had taken the sled. I'm not the greatest student in the world. I know some kids actually like school, but I honestly can't say that I do. I like some parts of school, like PE and computer class, and lunch and recess. But all in all, I'd be fine without school. And the thing I hate the most about school is all the homework we get. It's not enough that we have to sit through class after class and try to stay awake while they fill our heads with all this stuff we'll probably never need to know. Like how to figure out the surface area of a cube or what the difference is between kinetic and potential energy. I'm like, who cares? I've never heard my parents say the word kinetic in my entire life. You'll need to know a lot of that stuff, just saying. I don't like science most of all my classes. We get so much work it's not even funny. And the teacher, Miss Rubin, is so strict about everything. Even the way we write our headings on the top of our papers. I once got 2 points off a homework assignment because I didn't put the date at the top. Crazy stuff. When me and August were still friends, I was doing okay in science because August sat next to me and always let me copy his notes. August has the neatest handwriting of anybody I've ever seen who's a boy. Even his script is neat, up and down perfectly, with really small round loopy letters. But now that we're ex-friends, it's bad because I can't ask him to let me copy his notes anymore. So I was kind of scrambling today, trying to take notes about what Ms. Rubin was saying, when all of a sudden she started talking about the 5th grade science fair project. How we all had to choose a science project to work on. While she was saying this, I was thinking, we just finished that Egypt project. Now we have to start a whole new thing? And then in my head I was going, oh no. That was the face I was making on the inside. And then I thought of those pictures of melting ghost faces I've seen somewhere, where the mouths are open wide and they're screaming. And then all of a sudden this picture flew into my head, this memory, and I knew what Summer had meant by bleeding scream. It's so weird how it all just came to me in this flash. Someone in Homeward had dressed up as Bleeding Scream on Halloween. I remember seeing him a few desks away from me, and then I remember not seeing him again. Oh man, it was August. All of this hit me in science class while the teacher was talking. I had been talking to Julian about August. Oh man, now I understood. I was so mean. I don't even know why. I'm not even sure what I said, but it was bad. It was only a minute or two. It's just that I knew Julian and everybody thought I was so weird for hanging out with August all the time, and I felt dumb. And I don't know why I said the stuff I did. I was just going along with it. I was stupid. I'm stupid. He was supposed to come as Boba Fett. I would never have said that stuff in front of Boba Fett. But that was him under that bleeding scream, sitting at the desk looking over at us. The long white mask. The mouth wide open, like the ghoul was crying. That was August. I felt like I was going to be sick. I didn't hear a word of what Ms. Rubin was saying after that. Blah, 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 science fair project. Blah, 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 partners, blah, blah, blah. It was like the way grown-ups talk in Charlie Brown movies, like someone talking underwater. Wah, 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 wah. Then all of a sudden, Ms. Rubin started pointing to kids around class. Reed and Tristan, Maya and Max, Charlotte and Zamina, August and Jack. She pointed to us when she said this. Miles and Amos, Julian and Henry, Savannah and... I didn't hear the rest. Huh? I asked. The bell rang. So don't forget to get together with your partners to choose a project from the list, said Miss Rubin as everyone started taking off. I looked up at August, but he had already put his backpack on and was practically out the door. I must have had a dumb look on my face because Julian came over and said, "Looks like you and your best bud's partners." He was smirking when he said it. I hated him so much right now. "Hello, Earth to Jack," he said when I didn't answer. "Be quiet, Julian." I was putting my loose leaf binder away in my backpack and just wanted him away from me. "You must be bummed you got stuck with him," he said. "You should tell Miss Rubin you want to switch partners. I bet she'd let you." "No, she wouldn't," I said. "Ask her," said Julian. "No, I don't want to." "Miss Rubin," Julian said, turning around and raising his hand at the same time. Miss Rubin was erasing the chalkboard at the front of the room. She turned when she heard her name. "No, Julian," I whispered. "What is it, boys?" she asked impatiently. "Could we switch partners if we wanted to?" said Julian, looking very innocent. "Me and Jack had the science fair project idea we wanted to work on together." "Well, maybe we could arrange that," she started to say. "No, it's okay, Miss Rubin," I said quickly, heading to the door. "Bye." Julian ran after me. "Why'd you do that?" he said, catching up to me at the stairs. "We could have been partners. You don't have to be friends with that freak if you don't want to be, you know." And that's when I punched him, right in the mouth. Some things you just can't explain. You don't even try. You don't even know where to start. All your sentences would jumble up like a giant knot if you opened your mouth. Any words you used would come out wrong. Jack, this is very, very serious, said Mr. Tishman. I was in his office, sitting on a chair across from his desk and looking at the picture of a pumpkin on the wall behind him. Kids get expelled for this kind of thing, Jack. I know you're a good kid and I don't want that to happen, but you have to explain yourself. This is so not like you, Jack, my mom said. She had come from work as soon as they'd called her. I could tell she was going back and forth between being really mad and really surprised. I thought you and Julian were friends, said Mr. Tishman. We're not friends, I said. My arms were crossed in front of me. But to punch someone, Jack, said Mom, raising her voice. I mean, what were you thinking? She looked at Mr. Tishman. Honestly, he's never hit anyone before. He's just not like that. Julian's mouth was bleeding, Jack, said Mr. Tishman. You knocked out a tooth. Did you know that? It was only a baby tooth, I said. Jack, said Mom, shaking her head. Well, that's what Nurse Molly said. You're missing the point, Mom yelled. I just want to know why, said Mr. Tishman, raising his shoulders. It'll just make everything worse, I sighed. Just tell me, Jack, he urged. I shrugged, but I didn't say anything. I just couldn't. If I told him that Julian had called August a freak, then he'd go to talk to Julian about it, and then Julian would tell him how I'd badmouthed August too, and everybody would find out about it. Jack, said Mom. I started to cry. I'm sorry. Mr. Tishman raised his eyebrows and nodded, but he didn't say anything. Instead, he kind of blew into his hands like you do when your hands are cold. Jack, he started, I don't really know what to say here. I mean, you punch someone. We have rules about that kind of thing, you know? Automatic expulsion, and you're not even trying to explain yourself. I was crying a lot by now, and the second Mom put her arms around me, I started to bawl. Let's, said Mr. Tishman, taking his glasses off. Let's do this, Jack. We're out for winter break next week anyway. How about you stay home for the rest of this week, and then after winter break you'll come back and everything will be fresh and brand new, clean slate, so to speak. Am I being suspended? I asked. Well, he said, shrugging, technically yes, but it's only for a couple of days. And I'll tell you what, while you're at home, you take the time to think about what's happened. And if you want to write me a letter explaining what happened and a letter to Julian apologizing, then we won't even try to put any of this in your permanent record, okay? You go home and talk about it with your mom and dad, and maybe in the morning you'll figure it out a bit more. That sounds like a good plan. Thank you, Mr. Tishman, said Mom. Thank you. Everything's going to be okay, said Mr. Tishman, walking over to the door. I know you're a nice kid, Jack, and I know that sometimes even nice kids do dumb things, right? Thank you for being so understanding, said Mom, shaking his hand. No problem. He leaned over and told her something quietly that I couldn't hear. I know, thank you, said Mom. So, kiddo, he said to me, putting his hands on my shoulders, think about what you've done, okay, and have a great holiday. I wiped my nose with my sleeve and started walking out the door. Say thank you to Mr. Tishman, said Mom, tapping my shoulder. I stopped and turned around, but I couldn't look at him. Thank you, Mr. Tishman, I said. Bye, Jack, he answered. Then I walked out the door. Weirdly enough, when we got back home and Mom brought in the mail, there were holiday cards from both Julian's family and August's family. Julian's holiday card was a picture of Julian wearing a tie, looking like he was about to go to the opera or something. August's holiday card was of a cute old dog wearing reindeer antlers, a red nose, and red booties. There was a cartoon bubble above the dog's head that read, ho, ho, ho. On the inside of the card, it read, To the Will family, peace on earth. Love Nate, Isabel, Olivia, August, and Daisy. Cute card, huh? I said to Mom, who was hardly saying a word. I think she honestly just didn't know what to say. That must be their dog, I said. Mom looked at me. Do you want to tell me what's going on inside your head, Jack? She answered me seriously. I bet you they put a cute picture of their dog on the card every year, I said. She took the card from my hands and looked at the picture carefully. Then she raised her eyebrows and her shoulders and gave me the card back. We're very lucky, Jack. There's so much we take for granted. I know, I said. I knew what she was talking about without her having to say it. I heard that Julian's mom actually photoshopped August's face out of the class picture. When she got it, I said, she gave a copy to a couple other moms. That is awful, said Mom. People are just, they're not always so great. I know, I said. Is that why you hit Julian? She asked. No, I said. And then I told her why I had punched him. And I told her that August was my ex-friend now, and I told her about Halloween. So this next chapter is letters, emails, Facebook and texts. So this first letter is to Mr. Tishman from Jack. December 18th. Dear Mr. Tishman, I'm very, very sorry for punching Julian. It was very, very wrong for me to do that. I'm writing a letter to him to tell him that too. If it's okay, I would really rather not tell you why I did what I did, because it doesn't really make it right anyway. Also, I would rather not make Julian get in trouble for having said something he should not have said. Very sincerely, Jack Will. And then here's his email to Julian, or his letter to Julian. December 18th. Dear Julian, I'm very, very sorry for hitting you. You leave that alone. Thank you. Dear Julian, I'm very, very sorry for hitting you. It was wrong of me. I hope you're okay, and I hope your grown-up tooth grows in fast. Mine always do. Sincerely, Jack Will. This next one is an email to Jack from Mr. Tishman, so his reply email. Thank you so much for your letter. One thing I've learned after being a middle school director for 20 years, there are almost always more than two sides to every story. Although I don't know the details, I have an idea about what may have sparked confrontation with Julian. While nothing justifies striking another student ever, I also know good friends are sometimes worth defending. This has been a tough year for a lot of students, as the first year of middle school usually is. Keep up the good work and keep being the fine boy we all know you are. All the best, Lawrence Tishman, middle school director. Maggie, leave it alone. Don't do it. No. There you go. Don't need to do that. This next one is to Mr. Tishman from Julian's mom. Dear Mr. Tishman, I spoke with Amanda and John Will yesterday, and they expressed their regret at Jack's having punched our son Julian in the mouth. I'm writing to let you know that my husband and I support your decision to allow Jack to return to Beecher Prep after a 2-day suspension. Although I think hitting a child would be valid grounds for expulsion in other schools, I agree such extreme measures aren't warranted here. We have known the Will family since our boys were in kindergarten, and are confident that every measure will be taken to ensure this doesn't happen again. To that end, I wonder if Jack's unexpected violent behavior might have been a result of too much pressure being placed on his young shoulders. I'm speaking specifically of the new child with special needs who both Jack and Julian were asked to befriend. In retrospect, and having now seen the child in question at various school functions and in the class pictures, I think it may have been too much to ask of our children to be able to process all that. Certainly, when Julian mentioned he was having a hard time being friends with the boy, we told him he was off the hook in that regard. We think the transition to middle school is hard enough without having to place great burdens or hardships on these young, impressionable minds. I should also mention that as a member of the school board, I was a little disturbed that more consideration was not given during this child's application process to the fact that Beecher Prep is not an inclusion school. There are many parents, myself included, who question the decision to let this child into our school at all. At the very least, I'm somewhat troubled that this child was not held to the same stringent application standards that the rest of the incoming middle school students were. Best, Melissa Albans. So then here's Mr. Tishman's reply to that very interesting email. Dear Mrs. Albans, thanks for your email outlining your concerns. Were I not convinced that Jack Will is extremely sorry for his actions, and were I not confident that he would not repeat those actions, rest assured I would not be allowing him back to Beecher Prep. As for your other concerns regarding our new student August, please note that he does not have special needs. He is neither disabled, handicapped, nor developmentally delayed in any way, so there was no reason to assume anyone would take issue with his admittance to Beecher Prep, whether it is an inclusion school or not. So all of that basically meant August is just as smart as any other kid. In terms of the application process, the admissions director and I both felt it within our right to hold the interview off-site at August's home for reasons that are obvious. We felt that his slight break in protocol was warranted, but in no way prejudicial, in one way or another, to the application review. August is an extremely good student and has secured the friendship of some truly exceptional young people, including Jack Will. At the beginning of the school year, when I enlisted certain children to be a welcoming committee to August, I did so as a way of easing his transition into the school environment. I did not think asking these children to be kind to a new student would place any extra burdens or hardships on them. In fact, I thought it would teach them a thing or two about empathy, friendship, and loyalty. As it turns out, Jack Will didn't need to learn any of these virtues. He already had them in abundance. Thank you again for being in touch. Sincerely, Mr. Tishman. Okay, so basically Mr. Tishman told Julian's mom that Jack didn't have any hardships being friends with August. He chose to do it on his own because he's a good kid. So this next email is to Julian's mom from Jack's parents. Hi, Melissa. Thank you for being so understanding about this incident with Jack. He is, as you know, extremely sorry for his actions. I hope you do accept our offer to pay Julian's dental bills. We're very touched by your concern regarding Jack's friendship with August. Please know we have asked Jack if he felt any undue pressure about any of this, and the answer was a resolute no. He enjoys August's friendship and feels like he has made a good friend. Hope you have a happy new year. John and Amanda will. So then this is a Facebook, like maybe a messenger thing or something, but this is from Jack to August. Hi, August. Jack wants to be friends with you on Facebook. And then he also sent August an email with sorry as the subject with a lot of exclamation points. Hey, August, it's me, Jack Will. I noticed I'm not on your friends list anymore. Hope you friend me again, because I'm really sorry. I just wanted to say that. Sorry. I know why you're mad at me now. I'm sorry, I didn't mean the stuff I said. I was so dumb. I hope you can forgive me. And then, August messaged Jack back. Got your message. You know why I'm mad at you now? Did Summer tell you? And then now Jack's reply. All she told me was bleeding scream as a hint, and I didn't get it at first. Then I remember seeing the bleeding scream in homeroom on Halloween. I didn't know it was you. I thought you were coming as Boba Fett. And then August. I changed my mind at the last minute. Did you really punch Julian? And then Jack messaged him back. Yeah, I punched him, knocked a tooth out in the back, a baby tooth. And then from August. Why'd you punch him? From Jack. I don't know. From August. Liar. I bet he said something about me, right? Then Jack. No, he's just mean. But I was mean too. I'm really, really, really sorry for what I said, dude, okay? Can we be friends again? August's reply. Okay. Awesome. That was Jack's reply. And then August. But tell me the truth, okay? Would you really want to hurt yourself if you were me? Jack's reply. No. I swear on my life. But dude, if I look like Julian, I wouldn't be very happy. Okay, so still, even if he's trying to make August laugh, that's not a very nice thing to say either, right? And then August's reply. Yeah, dude, we're friends again. Despite what Tishman said, there was no clean slate when I went back to school in January. In fact, things were totally weird from the second I got to my locker in the morning. I'm next to Amos, who's always been a pretty straight-up kid, and I was like, hey, what's up? And he basically just nodded a half hello and closed his locker and left. Cut off on me. Let me try to find... I'm not sure exactly where it cut off, so this might be a little bit of a repeat, sorry. Augie doesn't have special needs. Yeah, but she's saying that if the school is changing the way they usually do things, but they're not changing anything, I argued. Well, they did. Didn't you notice they changed the theme of the New Year's art show? In past years, 5th graders painted self-portraits, but this year they made us do those ridiculous self-portraits as animals, remember? So what's the big deal? I asked. I know, she said. I'm not saying I agree. I'm just saying that's what she's saying. I know, I said. This is so messed up. I know, she said. Anyway, Julian said he thinks being friends with August is bringing you down, and that for your own good you need to stop hanging out with him so much. And if you start losing all your friends, it'll be like a big wake-up call. So basically, for your own good, he's going to stop being your friend completely. Newsflash, I said. I stopped being his friend first. Yeah, but he's convinced all the boys to stop being your friend for your own good. That's why nobody's talking to you. You're talking to me. Yeah, well, this is more of a guy thing, she explained. The girls are staying neutral, except Savannah's group because they're hanging out with Julian's group. But to everybody else, this is really a boy war. I nodded. She tilted her head to one side and pouted like she felt sorry for me. Is it okay that I told you all this? She said. Yeah, of course, I said. I don't care who talks to me or not, I lied. This is all just so dumb. She nodded. How does Augie feel about it? How does August know anything about this? Of course not, I said. At least, not from me. And Summer? I don't think so, I said. So, look, I better go. Just so you know, my mom thinks Julian's mom is totally wrong. think I read that backward. Okay, so Jack is the one that asked if August knew anything or if Summer knew anything. So now Charlotte's talking. I don't think so, she said. Look, I better go. Just so you know, my mom thinks Julian's mom is being completely ridiculous. She said she thinks people like her are more concerned about what their kids' class pictures look like than doing the right thing. You heard about her photoshopping, right? Yeah, that was just sick, I said. Totally, she answered, nodding. Anyway, I better go. I just wanted you to know what was up. Thanks, Charlotte, I said. I'll let you know if I hear anything else, she said. Before she went out, she looked left and right to make sure no one saw her leaving. I guess even though she was neutral, she didn't want to be seen with me. We're almost through with Jack's point of view. The next day at lunch, stupid me, I sat down at a table with Tristan, Nino, and Pablo. I thought maybe they were safe because they weren't really considered popular, but they weren't out playing D&D at recess either. They were sort of in-betweeners. And at first I thought I scored because they were basically too nice to not acknowledge my presence when I walked over to the table. They all said, hey, though I could tell they looked at each other. But then the same thing happened that happened yesterday. Our lunch table was called, they got their food, and then headed toward a new table on the other side of the cafeteria. Unfortunately, Mrs. G, who was the lunch teacher that day, saw what happened and chased after them. That's not allowed, boys, she scolded loudly. This is not that kind of school. You get right back to your table. Oh, great, like that was going to help, I thought. Before they could be forced to sit back down at the table, I got up with my tray and walked away really fast. I could hear Mrs. G call my name, but I pretended not to hear her and kept walking to the other side of the cafeteria behind the lunch counter. Sit with us, Jack. It was Summer. She and August were sitting at their table, and they were both waving me over. I don't know why he didn't just sit with them to start with, but okay. Okay, oh, maybe this might answer it. Okay, I'm a total hypocrite, I know. That very first day of school, I remember seeing August in the cafeteria. Everybody was looking at him, talking about him. Back then, no one was used to his face or even knew that I was coming to Beecher. So it was a total shock for a lot of people to see him there on the first day of school. Most kids were even afraid to get near him. So when I saw him going into the cafeteria ahead of me, I knew he'd have no one to sit with, but I just couldn't bring myself to sit with him. I had been hanging out with him all morning long because we had so many classes together. And I guess I just kind of was wanting a little more normal time to chill with other kids. So when I saw him move to a table on the other side of the lunch counter, I purposely found a table as far away from him as I could. I sat down with Isaiah and Luca, even though I'd never met them before, and we talked about baseball the whole time. And I played basketball with them at recess. They became my lunch table from then on. I heard that Summer had sat down with August, which surprised me because I knew for a fact she wasn't one of the kids that Tishman had asked to be friends with August. So I knew she was doing it just to be nice, and that was pretty brave, I thought. So now here I was sitting with Summer and August, and they were being totally nice to me as always. I filled them in about everything Charlotte had told me, except for the big part about me having snapped under the pressure of being August's friend, or the part about Julian's mom saying that August had special needs, or the part about the school board. I guess all I really told them was about how Julian had had a holiday party and managed to turn the whole grade against me. It just feels weird, I said, to not have people talking to you, pretending you don't exist. August started smiling. You think? He said sarcastically. Welcome to my world. So nobody should have to have that world, right? So here are the official rules, Summer said at lunch the next day. She pulled out a folded piece of paper and opened it up. On the left, it had Jack's side. Jack, August, Reed, Max G, Max W. Julian's side. Miles, Henry, Amos, Simon, Tristan, Pablo, Nino, Isaiah, Luca, Jake, Toland, Roman, Ben, Emmanuel, Zeke, Thomas. And the neutrals. Malik, Remo, Jose, Leaf, Ram, Evan, Russell. Where did you get this? Asked August, looking over my shoulder. Charlotte made it, Summer answered. She gave it to me last period. She said she thought you should know who was on your side, Jack. Not many people, I said, that's for sure. Reed is, she said, and the two Maxes. Great. Don't be mean, said Summer. I think Charlotte is trying to just help you. Yeah, I know, I said. Sorry, let me find my spot. Everybody's acting like I have the plague, I said. The second I said it, I realized I shouldn't have. This was so awkward, and it was a moment of silence as I looked at August. It's okay, he said. I knew about that. Sorry, dude, I said. Well, I didn't know they called it the plague, though, he said. I figured it was more like the cheese touch or something. Oh, yeah, like from a diary room with a kid, I nodded. The plague actually sounds cooler, he joked, like someone could catch the black death of ugliness. As he said this, he made air quotes. Well, I think it's awful, said Summer. But August shrugged while taking a big sip from his juice box. Anyway, thanks, I said. It was already the middle of January, and we still hadn't even chosen the science fair project we were going to work on. I guess I kept putting it off because I just didn't want to do it. Finally, August was like, dude, we have to do this. So we went to his house after school. I was really nervous because I didn't know if August ever told his parents about what had happened at Halloween. Turns out his dad wasn't even home, and the mom was out running errands. I'm pretty sure from the 2 seconds I'd spent talking to her that August had never mentioned a thing about it. She was super cool and friendly towards me. When I first walked into Augie's room, I was like, whoa, you've got a serious Star Wars addiction. He had ledges full of Star Wars action figures and a huge The Empire Strikes Back poster. Yeah, I know, right? He said, laughing. August sat down on a rolling chair next to his desk, and I plopped down on a beanbag chair in the corner. That's when his dog waddled into the room right up to me. He was on your holiday card, I said. He corrected me. Daisy. You can pet her. She doesn't bite. When I started petting her, she basically just rolled over on her back. She wants you to rub her tummy, said August. Okay, this is the cutest dog I've ever seen, I said, rubbing her stomach. Yeah, I know, he said. She's the best dog in the world. Aren't you, girly? Said August. As soon as she heard August's voice, the dog started wagging her tail and went over to him. Who's my little girl? Who's my little girl? August was saying as she looked him all over the face. I wish I had a dog, I said. My parents think our apartment's too small. I started looking around at the stuff in his room while he turned on the computer. You've got an Xbox 360? Can we play? Dude, we're here to work on the science fair project, he said. Do you have Halo? I asked. Of course I have Halo, he said. Please, can we play? He had logged on to the feature website and was now scrolling down Ms. Rubin's teacher page through the list of science fair projects. Can you see them from here? August asked. I sighed and went to sit on a little stool next to him. Cool iMac, I said. What kind of computer do you have? August asked. Dude, I don't have my own computer, much less my own computer. I don't even have my own room, much less my own computer. My parents have this ancient Dell that's practically dead. Okay, how about this one? August said, turning toward the screen. I made a quick scan of the screen and my eyes literally started blurring. Making a sun clock? That sounds kind of cool, said August. I leaned back. Can't we just make a volcano? Well, everyone makes volcanoes, said August. Well, yeah, 'cause it's easy, I said, petting Daisy. What about how to make crystal spikes out of Epsom salt? Sounds boring, I answered. So why'd you call her Daisy? He didn't look up from the screen. My sister named her, he said. I wanted to call her Darth. Actually, technically speaking, her full name is Darth Daisy, but we never actually called her that. Darth Daisy? That's funny, said Jack. Okay, this is the one, said August, pointing to a picture on the screen, with a bunch of potatoes with wires poking out. How to build an organic battery made of potatoes. Now that's cool. It says here you could power a lamp with it. We could call it the Spud lamp or something. What do you think? Dude, that sounds so hard. You know I'm not good at science. Quiet. You do not, said August. Yes, I do, I argued. I got a 54 on the last test. I am so bad at science. No, you're not, said August. And that was only because we were still fighting and I wasn't helping you. I can help you now, though. This is a good project, Jack. We've got to do it. Fine, whatever, I shrugged. Just then there was a knock on the door. A teenage girl with long dark hair poked her head inside the door. She wasn't expecting to see me. Oh, hey, she said to both of us. Hey, Via, said August, looking back at the computer screen. Via, this is Jack. Jack, that's Via. Hey, I said, nodding hello. Hey, she said, looking at me carefully. I knew the second August said my name that he had told her about the stuff I had said about him at Halloween. I could tell from the way she looked at me. In fact, the way she looked at me made me think she remembered me from that day from getting ice cream back when we were 6. Augie, I have a friend I want you to meet, okay? She said. He's coming over in a few minutes. Is he your new boyfriend? August teased. Via kicked the bottom of his chair. Just be nice, she said and left the room. Your sister's pretty, I said. Yeah, I know. She hates me, right? I said. You told her about the Halloween stuff? Yeah, said August. Yeah, she hates me, or yeah, you told her about Halloween? Both, said August. 2 minutes later, the sister came back with a guy named Justin. Seemed like a cool enough dude. Long hair, little round glasses. He was carrying a big, long, shiny silver case that ended in a sharp point on the end. "Justin, this is my little brother August," said Via, "and that's Jack." "Hey, guys," said Justin, shaking her hands. He seemed a little nervous. I guess maybe it was because he was meeting August for the first time. Sometimes I forget what a shock it is the first time you meet him. "Cool room," he said. "Are you Via's boyfriend?" Augie asked mischievously, and his sister pulled his cap down over his face. "What's in your case?" I asked. "A machine gun?" "Huh," answered the boyfriend. "That's funny, but no, it's a fiddle." "Justin's a fiddler," said Via. "He's in a Zydeco band." "What is a Zydeco band?" asked Augie, looking at me. "It's a type of music," said Justin, "like Creole music." "What's Creole?" I asked. "You should tell people that's a machine gun," said Augie. "Nobody would ever mess with you." "Yeah, I guess you're right," Justin said, nodding and tucking his hair behind his ears. "Creole's the kind of music they play in Louisiana," he said to me. "Are you from Louisiana?" I asked. "No," he answered. I'm from Brooklyn." I don't know but this made me laugh. "Come on, Justin," said Via, pulling him by the hand. "Let's go hang out in my room." "Okay, see you guys later." "Bye," we both said. As soon as they left the room, August looked at me smiling. "I'm from Brooklyn," he said, and they both started laughing hysterically. Alright, so next point of view, we actually get to have the point of view from Justin, which is Via's friend that we just met.